One of my favorite things in the world to do is watch Friends. I know it's been off for years and years. It's not even around, but I still find myself binge watching old episodes. And I was thinking about this today and thinking, it's the predictability of the friends in the circle, right? You have Chandler with his quirkiness, Monica with her type A of just everything has to be so neat and tidy and organized. It's Phoebe's ability to make you laugh at her silly songs. Ross always comes in with those smart comments, and Joey and him and his food, like it is just so hilarious. And of course, Rachel, she just brings everybody together, and it's just such this beautiful, cohesive team of people. And it's why I wanted to come on and share with you today that I have an opportunity for you to find your friends in the content creation space. So if you are thinking about creating your first or your next digital course, I don't want you to miss this opportunity because Amy Porterfield just opened the doors for registration for her Course Confident Bootcamp. And I'm actually offering a special bonus for anyone that registers for the Course Confident Bootcamp through my special link. So I want you to go to crystalproffitt.com/Amy-bootcamp to register. That's crystalproffitt.com/Amy-bootcamp. And what you're going to find when you get there is I have this special bonus private podcast series. It's called Money Mindset for Creators. So I want you to go register for Amy's bootcamp, download the podcast, and immediately start listening to it, because what this training is set up to do is to help you get your mind right about monetizing your content, making money so that you can fuel your content creation dreams. So go to crystalproffitt.com/Amy-bootcamp to register for Course Confident. And I cannot wait for you to find your friends and find the people that will be there for you. Do you see what I did there? Yeah, nice little friends segue connection. Go to crystalproffitt.com/Amy-bootcamp. And I cannot wait to see you inside. Okay, let's get into today's episode. 2023, wow, what a year. Am I right? I think back to the beginning of this year and I'm just blown away by how little I knew about AI and how much more I know today, how many things I've been exposed to, and just how many fun opportunities I've had because I've been curious about so many different things this year. And we're going to get into it today because today's episode is a year in review for 2023. So I used to go over my top 5 books of the year, and I would do a deep dive on all of those books. If you haven't listened to those episodes, go back if you're looking for some inspiring self-help, motivation, all those inspirational type of books. But this year I want to do something different. One, because I didn't read a ton of books this year. I got to be honest. That's one thing on my list I did not do a ton of, but I listened to some podcasts. I need to have a year in review report on my iPhone and see how many hours of podcast did I listen to this year, because it was a lot. It was a lot. But I wanted to share with you 3 main takeaways that I had in 2023 and just kind of do a let's wrap this up for what we've accomplished in the last 12 months and do a little bit of looking ahead and what all we have to look forward to in the next 12 months. So let's get right to it. Welcome to the Proffitt Podcast, where we teach you how to start, launch, and market your content with confidence. I'm your host, Crystal Proffitt, and I'm so excited that you're here. Thanks for hanging out with me today, because if you've been trying to figure out the world of content creation, this is the show that will help be your time-saving shortcut. So let's get right to it, shall we? So hi, welcome back. This is going to be so much fun. Like I said, there's 3 main takeaways that I had from 2023. I was going to say 3 main episodes. No, there's 3 main takeaways. The first one we're going to go through is events. There's some really incredible events that I want to highlight. The next thing is some of the trends that we saw in 2023 and some of my predictions of what that will look like in 2024. And then we're also going to give some shout outs to some special members of this community. But let's go ahead and get started. Let's dive right into the first thing we have to cover today is the events of 2023. I don't think I've had as profitable partnerships, relationship building since 2021. And in 2021 was when I went to Nashville. I went to Podcast Movement there. I met just so many people in this audience. I met Mark Cuban, like that was weird. I met John Lee Dumas in like this breakout session at Podcast Movement. I just had a lot of connections, like cool interactions with people that I never thought I would have. I went to She Podcast. We did Podfest. Like it was a big year. I had Dave Ramsey. Like I met a bunch of people on their team and Jade Warshaw. Like I've given her a huge shout out before, but she is someone that is like, she's freaking killing it at Ramsey. And she was my partner at the Ramsey influencer event. So I am just cheering her on from the sidelines and like, go Jade, go. Like you are crushing it. But that was a 2021 year. So in 2023, I feel like the events that I was able to attend, while it was minimal, like it wasn't a bunch of events, every single one of them were so impactful for different reasons. So if we start at the top, the first event that we had in 2023 was going to speak at Podcast Movement. So it was Podcast Movement Evolutions in Vegas, and this was in March. It actually ended up being over spring break, so my husband got to go with me, and it was so much fun. We're not really like Vegas people, and I can say that because it was my second time to go to Vegas. The first one was in 2020, but I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I don't see what the hype is about. Maybe because I'm cheap and I'm not really a gambler. I don't really, the hype wasn't there for me for like all things, Vegas, quote, Vegas, the quintessential Vegas stuff. But I had so much fun meeting incredible people. So I met my coach, Jen. So shout out to Jen. She's Jen Frey Coaching. She has been on the Proffitt Podcast, but we met there. And it was so fun because I wasn't really expecting to meet a bunch of people that would have such a profound impact on my life. And Jen has absolutely been one of those. So shout out to Jen. I'm going to link to, everything she does in the show notes because she has helped me. Like I hired her as my personal coach and we worked together from, it was August through November. We worked on some really incredible things and it was everything from mindset, career, motherhood, parenting, like so many different things. But I met her at Podcast Movement. So it wasn't just the highlight of being able to speak on stage for the first time solo, because I'd spoken at Podcast Movement before, but being able to do that in the solo format was incredible. I had so many compliments after that talk. So this episode, I feel like it's going to be just a ton of shout outs, but shout out to Heather Sager. So we're going to come back to her in a second, but she helped me with my talk. Like I've learned from her all the speaking, different programs I've done with her coaching that she's helped me with, and just the incredible way that she can help you lay out a talk. I did that talk for 2 weeks straight before I ever took the stage. Every single day for 2 weeks, I did a full run through of that. The full like 45-ish minutes, at least once a day, every single day for 2 weeks. And it shows. That was the best speaking stage performance I've ever had. It sounds weird to call it like a stage performance, but that's what it was. Like I had the hand gestures. I had practice with the mic. I'd practice with the clicky thing. Like I had done all the things behind the scenes to make that talk happen. And I'm still so proud of that. So just shout out to the Podcast Movement team. I'm still so grateful to have had that opportunity. And, I hope to work with them again in the future because it's an incredible organization. I am planning to go to podcast movement in the fall of 2024. So I wanted to throw out some of these like conferences so you have them on your radar for next year. If you're like, oh, what should I go to? I'm not going to the one that's going to be, I think it's in LA in the spring. I have other prior commitments in the spring, but I am planning to go to the next one that they have in the fall. So podcast movement, fantastic conference. Again, you make incredible connections and get to meet up with some amazing podcasters. So highly, highly recommend that. The next one is Craft and Commerce in Boise, Idaho. First of all, I'd never been to Boise, and it is beautiful. Like, I understand everyone's moving here from all over, like we have so many, like an influx of people moving from different states. I understand why. I went there in June. It is gorgeous. And to get from the airport to my hotel in downtown Boise was like 15 minutes. I was like, this is absolutely unheard of. This is incredible. And I will be going back. So Craft and Commerce was fantastic. I got to make awesome connections. So Justin Moore, he's been on the podcast. I've been shouting his praises. You've probably seen us like tagging each other on Instagram because I'm a success story of his program, Brand Deal Wizard, where he teaches creators about sponsorship. So I'm going to link to that in the show notes. I'm an affiliate for his program. I will shout it from the rooftops. I'm so proud of this thing. It has made me tens of thousands of dollars at this point in my business already. So yeah, I'm going to keep talking about it because it is an incredible thing. But I met him at Craft and Commerce. He took the main stage. I was able to, chat with him briefly whenever he was done. And then we made a connection afterwards. I asked him to come on the podcast. And it ended up being a great partnership. And then now I've helped him do some fun things behind the scenes that I can't wait for him to share in 2024. And we have some other fun partnerships coming up that, the collaborations that come from conferences and events they're just unmatched because you can do only so much like online networking and it gets a little awkward and, someone's got to reschedule, someone's got to cancel. Like it's not as organic as it is when you are live there in person with other people and you can have just authentic conversations. So I will absolutely be going back to Craft and Commerce. I'm actually planning a family trip for my whole family to go because I told my husband, I was like, we got to get you back here so you could go fishing. And they have whitewater rafting and our boys love to fish. So I'm like, it's in the summer. We're making it a whole deal. It's slated on my agenda. So if you want to meet up with me in 2024, I will be in Boise, Idaho for Craft and Commerce for sure. I'm going to make that one. But the other connections I made. So Terry Rice, he also spoke. He was the opening keynote speaker and he is absolutely incredible. Go look him up on Instagram. Go get on his newsletter. He is someone that has just such a passion. He's working on a few new projects for 2024. And I just was recently an interview on his podcast. It'll be coming out in a few weeks and it's called Launch Your Business. That's his podcast. And it was just so much fun to talk to him. We actually did a little coaching on some like things that he has coming up that has to do with another podcast. So it was just so much fun to meet these inspiring entrepreneurs and creators that they have the passion. Like that is, if you're looking for a really passionate creator community, ConvertKit is where it's at. It really is. Like they just know how to draw in these uber passionate people that just have a heart to help people and share their message and make an impact, make a difference in everything that they do. So go check out Craft and Commerce in Boise. It's where I hosted Amy Porterfield for her meetup and book signing, which was super fun. It's always great to see Amy in person, and just meeting the ConvertKit team was also great. So I'm going to say it again. I will be at Craft and Commerce in Boise, Idaho in 2024. So if you want to come meet up with me, that's where I will be. Put it on your calendar now. But the third event that I wanted to highlight is getting to go to Bend, Oregon So total, like I did a lot of traveling this year, a lot more than I anticipated, but it was so incredible. I got to go help my friend Heather Sager. So shout out to Heather. I knew I'd circle back around to this, but I helped her with her signature talk accelerator. So this is her program that she created. She wanted to host it live for a live cohort. And it's actually going to be an on-demand version where you can learn all the things that I learned to take the stage at Podcast Movement Evolutions, to speak at She Podcast, to do all the things that I did for the Ramsey Influencer event. So if you're wanting to be more visible and speak on stages, then go check out Heather's program because it is fantastic. I was actually there live and I helped behind the scenes. I'll make sure and link to the video that I did and the collaboration that Heather and I did together. We recorded a podcast episode behind the scenes. So if you want to know like production wise what we did, then make sure you go check out those episodes and listen to those because it was so fun to do it with a friend who I'd never met in person. And now we can officially say like we got to hug each other's necks and, you know, have coffee and meals together and, you know, just be able to do life in person, I think is something I want to continue to make priority in 2024 and say, I'm going to these live events. I'm going to see people in real life because that's where those organic connections and collaborations just happen so much more naturally. So I hope that you put that as a top priority for yourself in 2024. Actually, if you're watching this on YouTube, I want to know, like, put in the comments, what's an event that you're looking forward to in the new year that you're just like, oh, I'm already counting down. I cannot wait until this happens in person because it's going to be so much fun. I want to hear from you. So put them in the comments. All right. Let's move on to the second thing that we need to cover today. And that is the trends of 2023. AI. I mean, is there anything else to start with? Is there anything else to start with? No, there's not. I think back to Craig. So Craig Van Slyke, he was on the Proffitt Podcast in early 2023. I think that our episode was either recorded in February or I know it aired in the spring. And we were talking about ChatGPT and I was kind of like,
Being a woman in business comes with its own unique set of challenges, but also so many opportunities. We get ahead by leaning in to what makes us different from business as usual. I'm Samantha Hartley, host of Profitable Joyful Consulting, inviting you to a special 6-episode series exploring the experience of being a woman in business. You want to hear from women consultants who've hit $1 million, who sell 6-figure engagements, or who've broken their own revenue ceilings? Yeah, those are my clients, and they'll be sharing too. Join me for 6 must-listen episodes that tackle key challenges for women consultants.
Follow Profitable Joyful Consulting on your favorite podcast app.
yeah, like that's a cute fad. Like we'll see where it goes. I was still living off of the hype of all these other things that I've like participated in and they've like gone by the wayside very quick. Like they disappear just as quickly as they appear. And this was one that I was like, oh, sure. Like I'll play around with it. I didn't really, it wasn't doing much for me. Now I'm obsessed. I use it every day. I use other AI tools every single day. And I see that being the thing that continues into 2024 that blows our minds. I really do. I think that the rise of so many different apps and companies and the way that people are deciding to use it and people want to, you know, bring this idea to life in this new way. It may not be a brand new idea, but it's, you know, making things simplified. It's automating this. It's, you know, prioritizing that. And it's just making so many of our jobs that much easier. So I'm excited about AI in 2023 and looking forward to it in 2024. And I cannot wait for it. Some of the other fun things that I saw that were very interesting this year was Threads and X. So if you are an Instagram user, you know Threads is their Twitter version of their platform. It was a huge deal when it first started, and I haven't posted on there in several weeks. I can't be honest. I can't. I think that I was fooling myself and saying, oh, well, I wasn't a Twitter person, but I will love this. I don't love it. I don't love the format. I think it goes back to if you think, I mean, I remember when Facebook was literally just, captions was what you were writing, but that's what happened in your feed was, you just had the text of, I'm eating, at Pizza Hut tonight with some of my friends. I don't even remember things that I would say in Facebook like circa 2006, but that's what I feel like some of these platforms are. And I'm just I'm a visual person. I want to see the images and the graphics. And I know that they have that on Twitter and Threads, or excuse me, X or Threads. They have these visual platforms, but I still prefer an Instagram, and that's where I am. So we'll see, what happens in 2024 and beyond. But for me, it's just, I don't need any new platforms. That's what I have decided. I don't do TikTok still. It's not the one for me. I can't get into it. There's too much going on. I'm like the middle-aged woman walking into a club, holding her ears saying, it's too loud. Like, can we go home? Like, I just want to go snuggle up on the couch. And that's what Instagram is for me. It is a casual, chill app that I need. And so, yeah, that's my little rant, I guess, if you will, about the trends of Threads and X rebranding and just all that drama that happened this year. Very interesting. The other trend of 2023 was video and podcasting. So I was recently on, and I'm going to link to this in the show notes too, but Veronica over from Pod Sound School, she has a podcast called Content Jefe, and you have to go check it out. It's such a cute, I love how they edit things, and they her husband, Studio Steve, is so talented in all of their video editing and production that they do. And that's what they specialize in behind the scenes. So they created this fantastic video. But one of the things that we talked about was video podcasting. And it's like, do we need it? Do we not need it? Is audio only the way to go? And I'm going to keep saying, you can go the route of doing an audio-only podcast, but it will only get you so far. You can't depend on just audio-only anymore. You've got to have some components of video, and there's a few different ways to do that, but you need to it needs to be on your vision board for 2024. It needs to be on your strategic planning, but it needs to be something that's incorporated into your content in some capacity. That could just be Instagram stories, right? It doesn't have to be this full production of all these reels and all this content you got to create. It could just be you showing your face on Instagram stories and saying, hey, there's a new podcast episode out today. Go check it out. Go listen to it. It doesn't have to be this big elaborate plan, but I do think that you need a video component in the new year and beyond. And you have to figure out what that's going to be for you and how that's going to work for your content and your business. The other one that I wanted to throw in, my trends of 2023, I just wanted to throw in, I said, let me add in like my top 3 podcasts that I love to listen to right now. And then I realized it's my top 5. And then I realized, it's all the same people. So this is, I can't say it's been of all of 2023 because there have been other podcasts that I listened to throughout the year. But the last few months leading up to me recording this episode, I'm obsessed with Armchair Expert, the Armchair Umbrella, I should say, because that's where all of these shows are. I love Dax, I love Monica, and I love the shows that they're creating and their whole network of different inclusive shows that are so different. They're so different than anything else that you listen to and you hear. They're entertaining, they're vulnerable. The guests that they have on there, I mean, I'm always blown away. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to listen to Eva Longoria on a podcast. I can't wait to listen to Maria Sharapova. I can't wait to listen to this vulnerability expert or someone that's a therapist. And it has the perfect blend of everything that I'm looking for. And so I love all of their shows. So I'm going to list them off. They have the Armchair Expert, Synced, which is a newer show. If you listen to their show Race to 35, which is all about Monica and her friend Liz. they shared the process of fertility and freezing their eggs. And I told my husband that that show was so interesting because I've had 3 kids. Like we're done having kids. I'm not in the fertility space, but I have several friends at my age that are struggling with, infertility, or they're having to make those decisions. Like, do I freeze my eggs? Like, do I do? And so that whole world was very like, I'm so far removed from it that I wanted to have this baseline of connecting with people who are going through things like that. So I listened to their show. It was fantastic. It was a short run, limited series. But those two together, Monica and Liz, have created a regular show that is ongoing, and it's called Synced. And it's just like the girlfriend's guide to the galaxy. It's so fantastic. So Liz and Monica are both around my age. So the things that they share I totally identify with. I think Monica and I are actually the same age. Like we would have graduated in the same high school class and college and all that together. And it's very, I don't know. It makes my heart happy. So Synced is another great one. They also have Flightless Bird, which is about David Farrier, who is from New Zealand, and he is in America, like trying to figure out why do we do the things that we do? It's hilarious. One, it calls out weird, quirky things that I've never thought about as an American that we do here, that he's like, why the heck do y'all do this? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why are you the way that you are? So I love his perspective. I love that it's him and Monica and Rob, their producer, and they're constantly just talking about the most outrageous things. And it makes my heart. So they're talking about cereal. They're talking about quilts. They talked about the DMV and getting a driver's license. I mean, pinball machines. They've talked about the most outlandish things that I wouldn't have even thought about, American accents, and it's so fun. So if you're looking for something that's purely entertainment, go check out these shows. They also have Armchair Anonymous and Yearbook, which are some of their newer shows that I highly recommend. Again, Armchair Umbrella, I'm obsessed with the whole thing. It is not something about business. It's not necessarily motivational self-help, like this is going to show you how to get $1 million. It is something that I enjoy that makes my heart happy. I was going to say my heart and my soul. My heart and my soul is so happy. I laugh. I've cried on episodes. So if you're looking for something to just make your heart happy, go listen to those episodes. All right. The last thing that we need to cover in our year in review for 2023 is shout outs. I am so proud of this community. I'm so proud of you all. I cannot believe that we have so much talent here with the podcasters and content creators. Like I could just have dedicated an entire show to the wins that I've seen in our Facebook group. If you're not part of our Facebook group, I'll have it linked in the show notes as well. Join us in our Facebook group because that's where there's so much like fireworks and sparkly things happening all the time. And it just like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I feel like a coach that is constantly like, yes, on the sidelines. Like I am just like fist pumping and saying, yes, go, keep going. You're doing an incredible job. But I'm also the coach that's there saying, I'm here if you need help. Like, look to me, like you're on the field, you're doing your thing, you're running, you're doing whatever sport or whatever, athletic competition that you're doing. And you're looking at me and you're like, coach, what do I do next? That's the type of person that I like to be. If you don't know this about me, I am a cheerleader. I've told people this, like from the age of 4 is when I started cheering, for little league football for my brother and all his friends. And I just love being a cheerleader. So I wanted to give some shout outs to people in this community specifically that have had some huge milestones this year. So Kathy, you're the first one up. So Kathy Vanden Heuvel, she has the Caregiver Cup podcast, and she just celebrated 3 years of her show. 3 years. Kathy, I am so proud of you. I still remember when you were trying to figure out your show, you were like developing the name, you're trying to think about the content, and here you are 3 years later, and we've had conversations on the side. I know that she's looking at what are the next steps for her show. She's looking at collaborations and opportunities and different things that she can try as an established content creator. Like she's in it. She's no longer a beginner. She's been doing this. She's a seasoned pro. And I'm so proud of you, Kathy, for all the things that you've been doing. But mostly for staying in the game. You're here 3 years later, and I think that it's incredible. I can't wait to continue to go on this journey with you. You are doing awesome things. And the Caregiver Cup podcast, again, giving it a shout out. It is absolutely worth checking out. The next shout out I want to give is to Chef Amanda. So Amanda Schomburg, she has a Baking for Business podcast, and she celebrated earlier this year. She hit 100,000 downloads. She had Tiffany Amber Thiessen, no big deal, Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell on her podcast this year. And I, again, am just so blown away by the talent in this community and just the fun things that she's been doing. Go follow her on Instagram. If you are a home baker, if you love to be in the culinary space and you want to know how that can work doing it from home, go check out Chef Amanda on Instagram, especially because she does a fantastic job sharing all these yummy creations. She had this thing that she shared the other day that I watched. She bought I think it was a pumpkin cheesecake, or it was something that looked so good. I was like, oh my gosh, or maybe it was a bundt cake. I don't remember. It was a delicious treat that she had bought from another bakery, and she was testing it, and she was giving her reviews. And I'm like, this is the food porn that I need in my life to watch every single day, because Chef Amanda does it so well in her delivery of sharing all this information. So again, shout out to Amanda. You're doing incredible things. The other shout out that I want to give is to Melissa, Carrie, and Hannah. So everyone that I've mentioned here today, they're all students of Proffitt Podcasting. So this is my podcast program that teaches you how to start, launch, and market a podcast in 30 days or less. But all of these people have started a podcast, launched it, marketed it. But the other piece in there is they are still going. They are consistent in their journey. They're trying new things. They're figuring out their next moves for their podcast. So I just want to give a shout out to Melissa, Carrie, and Hannah, because they launched their podcast this year. They've been super connected in our community, and they're helping other people as often as they can. They're super active in our Facebook group, and I'm just so grateful for the things that they've been able to share. I actually have Melissa and Carrie were on a special episode where we talked about their podcast journey. So I'll make sure and link to that in the show notes as well. But the other big thing that we had to share is the Proffitt Podcast turned 5 this year. And I didn't really talk about it too much. We hit 400 episodes. We actually, if I'm talking about year in reviews, we had the Potty Report for 3 years. And because of the Potty Report and the Proffitt Podcast, we were able to surpass 1,300 podcast episodes. Wrap your head around that number, because it's still hard for me. 1,300 podcast episodes have been published at Proffitt Media, and that still blows my mind. It really blows my mind that I've recorded, edited, launched, published, marketed over 1,300 podcast episodes. And I'm just super proud. And I want to share that win as something that I never thought would be possible, because it was too big. It was too big to even be on my radar. I know most of you that are listening right now, you're in the stages of just starting your podcast. Having 5 episodes sounds like a huge milestone to you, let alone 100 sounds mind-boggling. You're like, what? I can't even think of that. But to have 1,300 podcast episodes, I have to just take a moment and say, I am extremely proud. I'm so proud of being able to continuously show up, because y'all, it's not easy. Okay, as much as I like to make podcasting fun and content creation, let's do this with confidence, it is not easy. I know this. I realize this. And it's why I keep showing up. You are my why. When I sit there and think, what am I doing? How does this really even work? I have this reminder of, Crystal, it's not about you. It's never been about you. It's about you helping the people that have a special message to share. That's why you do this. That's why I do this. And I am so grateful for every single one of you in this community that show up consistently for me, because I'm going to keep show up consistently for you. I love teaching in this community. I love all the wins that I get to share from awesome podcasters and creators. So actually, if you have a win that you want to share, go over to our pod inbox page, which is pretty soon going to be our fan list page, but I'm going to have a link in the show notes. I want you to go check it out and leave me an audio message. Tell me one of your wins. If you're like, Crystal, you missed, I wish you would have given me a shout out. I've celebrated so many amazing things. I want to hear about them. Send them to me. Send me an audio message and we could air it on a future episode of the podcast. But I want to hear from you. What is your year in review? What are your biggest wins of 2023? I cannot wait to share and celebrate and indulge in them. So this is one thing I mentioned, my coach Jen earlier. One thing that she helped me with this year was I don't do enough indulging in celebrations. Of course, I'll say, pat on the back, you did a good job. But I also had this voice in my head of, well, of course, because I'm a self-starter, I'm a motivated person. I never had any doubts that I'm an Enneagram 3, right? I'm a high achiever. I never thought I wouldn't accomplish something, but I was always 3 steps ahead into the next thing. I was never sitting in the celebration and saying, wow, this feels really good. Or look at what I've done. Or, that thing that I wanted for years and years, I finally accomplished it. I was usually just running on to the next thing. So what I want you to do, if you're listening to this, you're watching this, I want you to sit in everything that you've accomplished. Whether you're watching this at the end of the year, you're watching this at the beginning of the year, you're watching this 5 years from now, I want you to sit in all the things that you have accomplished that you either never thought were possible or they weren't even on your radar in the first place. And once you just sit back and see wow, when I do that, I have so many wow moments, so many that just they take my breath away as I never thought that would be possible for me. I never thought that I would have these opportunities. And I'm so grateful. Sitting here today, I am so grateful that I get to share all of these journeys with you and just the different opportunities. We did so much in 2023 at Proffitt Media. And I know that we're going to have so many other amazing things in 2024. I told you a little bit that we would tease out some of the fun things that we're working on. We're working on some more partnerships. So I am bringing some experts into this community that are going to help you achieve greatness in the next 12 months, 24 months, but giving you the practical tools to get more sponsorships, to have more visibility and get in front of bigger audiences, to monetize your content. I hear you loud and clear, but also to work on project management, time management, and making the most out of the precious time that you have. So there's going to be some fun launches coming up in Q1 of 2024. Stay tuned. It is going to be a rocket ship and we are strapping on, we are hanging on, and I cannot wait to share them all with you. But that's all I have for you today. So if this is your first time tuning in, make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button wherever you are listening and watching. And as always, remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere. Hey, Proffitt Podcast listeners. Thanks for sticking around to a little bit after the episode to hear this special message because I want to hear from you. We are starting a new segment called Fan Mail Shoutouts, and I want to hear from you and I want to hear your questions. What do you want to know? What questions have you been dying to ask me? So here's how to make this happen. Go to the app where you're listening to this podcast right now. Go there. I'll wait a second. Okay. Now, once you're there, you're going to see a hyperlink at the top of the episode description that says, send Crystal a text message. And that's all I want you to do. Send me a text. It could be casual, informal. It could be totally anonymous. Or if you want, you can include your name and the name of your podcast or content wherever you are creating, and I will give you a special shout out in an upcoming episode. So again, go to the show notes for where you're listening to this episode right now, and it will say, send Crystal a text message. And I cannot wait to hear from you and give you a shout out in an upcoming segment of Fan Mail Shoutouts.